All right. After several months, I'm finally getting back to 68 Dart. I've shown the frame section that I'm putting together, and just currently have it all. I've done all the test fitting and have our rocker panel, inner rocker panels sectioned in, ready to slip in to the car over to the right here. Just drilling out the floor pans and getting it, making sure everything is lined up right. I have about half of them left or so on the seat pan. So I will get those drilled out and we'll set everything back up in there. Currently have most of the trunk pan done, but that can be slipped in afterward. The way I'm putting this frame in with the cross members already in it and the outriggers, it's already ready to slip right in. So I have to have the seat pan in there with it. So I'll get this all prepped up and set it back up in there and come back to it. Right. Okay, now drill. Going to. With a. We're doing that. Not gonna roll it first because you know throw that SCT cover thing. So that'll kind of really well. Anyway, put that tape. Rolling upstairs. Put it in the heat box. Put it out here just because heat cover. I'll get it over there. Put my coat. What's better? Miserable. Do the inside. Then we'll run the. Let this dry for a couple minutes and we'll do the underside. Good enough. Then we'll do a once over on the frame to make sure I have all the parts that have gotten scratched up. Get that hit with epoxy again, or rather weld through primer if you got epoxy down in the frame rails themselves to protect for the future. Won't have to do it again in my lifetime one way or the other probably, but try to keep it as good as we can, protect it better than the factory did. So I'll get this flipped back over. Actually, I'll do the trunk pan now as well. Then I'll get it flipped back over. I'm not going to worry so much about the smoothing everything else out at the bottom. I ran that contour drum tool over the top because the Roll-Lock, sanding disc gouges it a little bit. So this will all be hidden by frame rails and cross members on the bottom here. All right. That stuff dries pretty darn quick. We'll lay this against our AMD box. Maybe. Try to hit it with that. That should work. Blow a little air on there. Forgot I had a microphone on. That was probably extremely loud. All right. I got some more paint to remove there, I guess, and get that off of there so it doesn't burn up in the plug welds. Let that set up here, and we'll start getting the frame in back into the unibody. All right. So I won't repeat this too much, but there's everything that I was able to get done prior. So up in here is the package tray and everything that's rebuilt. And really the only thing different since the last time I put out a video is that I decided to section the rockers. So each one of those is very solid everywhere but the bottom of them. So I cut out what was bad, and then over on the new frame rail sections, the new frame rails, I've sectioned the inner rockers on both sides. Once we get everything tied together, it'll work just fine. Then once we're all done back here, the front pan went ahead and decided to put a new one in. It's in pretty good shape. There's just a couple patches, but I needed to get to the rocker, so I had to section some out of the back. So in that big AMD box over there is the front floor pan. So at the end of what I thought was a fairly straight car, I'm going to put all pans in it and new rear frame rails, then new quarters once we're all done with this back structure.
up to where things currently stand. As you can see by the
All right, now I've got the cross brace bracket off of the old seat pan. That was from the donor vehicle. And now I'm going to see if I can't get it back into shape a little bit here. Get my cheap body hammers and an anvil. Should work just fine. And all I'm doing is shaping that flange back up. Now, clean this all up, but it's also out of whack. Whomever took the cross braces out originally pulled on pretty hard. Let's see. A lot better. Not perfect yet. Not too bad. All right. We'll get that blasted. All right, vacuum was clogged up. That'll be better. Much better. A couple little spots I'll clean up with the wheel when I'm over there. But all in all, pretty good. All right. So I've got my cut marks on this old pan. I don't think it matters all that much, but it kind of sets in against the curve here, so it'll kind of self-locate. But I can take a few measurements there, make sure I'm pretty darn close. Obviously, ultimately, the seat back kind of runs against the cross braces there, so we'll make sure it's not sticking out too far. And true it up. Should be in good shape. One problem I have with these larger discs, these 3-inchers, is if you hit the brakes too hard, they tend to fly off. Probably just the cheap mandrel or something, but gotta remember to stop while I'm still applying pressure. That'll keep them on there. All right. What I can see is I've got the floor pans now set in here after getting the inner rockers all welded back together, the frame pinned in at the back cross member, welded back there, so the frame is in and square, fully welded, and then just clean up the seams and drop the pans on. They fit really well. It was really just drop in. Obviously, I've went through and drilled or punched all the holes along the frame rail and along the edges, so I'm ready to go with respect to that. We'll just give a little test fit to this cross brace here. It looks like in general. We'll get her probably screwed down and then tap the flanges back into place a little bit better. Get all the metal cleaned up there and spot weld that one back in. Plug weld, I guess. Got a little bit of cleanup to do on this flange here. It's just bent out of shape just a little bit. And hopefully soon I can get this jungle gym out of here because it's obviously an encumbrance. Matter of fact, I'll probably come back to that after I can get some of this out of here and then lay the cross braces in there. Actually, this car and the donor vehicle, neither one of those had the actual cross braces, so I had to, luckily a guy was parting out a 68 Dart locally, and I was able to get those off him. So we've got good metal all around. So we'll get set back up and shortly start plug welding all along the rails, and we've got the trunk pan sitting back here as well. Got it all self-tapered in, holding shape very well. And of course this seam through here in the middle, that's where the, so we've got the seat pan, which in a A-body goes up over the wheel arches and just to the beginning of the floor pan, or the trunk pan. And then in the center here, there's the footwell pan's a two-piece that comes over and closes this gap, and it actually naturally has a little bit of an elevation difference. But this front pan is cut out, and of course I have a new front pan as well. So once we get this out of here. True up, there's a couple spots on the inner rockers on both sides where there's some rust, but it's all flat stuff. I do have a brake over here if we need to make a soft bend on them, but all pretty good. Should be pretty straightforward and easy to patch that up real quick. But all the way through, they're generally in very solid. We've hit everything with a hammer and found any soft spots, but just a couple. Make quick work of that and get going. All right, now we've got the pans welded in. I'll switch around here. Aside from the blinding light, I've got all the plug welds done. They're far too high, so it'll be a little extra work with the flap disc on getting these things flattened out. Nonetheless, fitting in here real good now. I've got the trunk cross braces temped in there, clamped in, just test fitting everything there. So we are making big progress on the structure. Going to go from the other side so you can see everything under here, fitting real nice, real good and tight all along there. And of course we'll hit the trunk dropouts next once we start cutting quarters off. Inside, getting ready to get rid of my jungle gym here shortly, but everything good, welded up, matched up perfectly. A and B panels, real good. And again, now that all that work that I've done on the package tray, new package tray, and all the structure coming down there is all tying in nicely, and getting ready for, once we get all this tidied up, we'll start working on the wheelhouse. I'll get them both set together and then keep it screwed together for now until we get the quarters on there and final fit everything without having to go backwards at all there. But looking pretty good. Thanks.